Hello everyone, this is Daniel Patridge from Sebula Tech and OldRC.com, and today's another new Bowlink mold vacuum formed episode, I guess you'd say. We ran two molds the other day live on the Sebula Tech channel in case you missed it and don't know about it. We did these and we're giving away this stuff because I don't think we're ever going to make them again unless for some reason there's a bunch of people interested in it. These molds will probably just be put away into cold storage. They're an interesting piece of history, but I don't know if that they're real relevant anymore for people. So like I was mentioning with the live video, we don't have that up anymore because it's a long, hour-long thing and it's not really the most exciting thing. So what I'm gonna do is at the end of this video, if you're interested in seeing how these were made, you can go and watch after I've shown these parts off and everything. You can watch that part of the video and you'll see how these were made. It's just kind of the highlights real quick of how things went in making them, not the full hour-long thing that we did live, so it's not quite as boring as that was if you went to watch that again. But if you do want these, any of these stuff, we're going to talk about what they are here in a little bit. If you do want any of these, send an email to giveaway@sebulatech.com. Let us know which one you're interested in and your address, of course. And if you're in the United States, we will mail it to you for free. I'm sorry, it's not going to be available to anybody that's outside the United States at this time. It's too much for international shipping. If you know anything about international shipping from the United States right now, it is terrible, especially for large objects like this, that even though they weigh nothing at all. All right, let's get into it then. What we've got here first is the Bowlink part tray, which I'll put in here in the video somewhere, like I think the original part number. I'm also maybe put some pictures in here that show some old advertisements of what they kind of displayed it for usage and everything. But it's got a little spot in here where you could set a motor sideways so it wouldn't roll away. I think this is a spot for like tools to lay into. The recesses over here are deeper and then they get shallower as they go this direction. This part over here is very similar and reminiscent to the tool tray we did, I think over a year ago. That's this one right here. And apparently back then the tools were much smaller, I guess. I don't know. Everybody's got very large tools now. I'm sorry. All right. But yeah, so this is the tray. Oh man, that went bad. This is the tray, the mold for it and everything. And we did some parts in styrene on this one, only in styrene. This is 0.030 thickness of styrene. You can see very, very floppy. Then we also did 0.040. You can hear this is definitely much more rigid. If I were to actually make something like this and sell it, I would definitely do it out of the 40 and not the 30. But we had this stuff still kind of kicking around with some extra stuff, so I decided to experiment a little bit and see what we would get running this part on it, because we don't really do too much in styrene. We've only done some special stuff for people in styrene. Then over here, what we're using as the chassis protector, or not the chassis protector, the tray protector is one that was way too hot when it was forming, and it is wrinkled up and everything on there, and it looks really bad. But it's a perfect part protector. Hairs. So yeah, that came out really well. The detail's pretty good. Of course, on this one, the detail in the tray part is just a little bit, or in the part tray part is just a little bit crisper because of the fact that it's thinner plastic. But I would still only do the thicker. All right, over onto this one. This one is the display chassis. This was a part or a kit that they would sell, and it would allow you to put your 10th scale pan car body, the wide ones, not the narrow ones. In the live video, we did a little quick test, and definitely the narrow ones would be hard to make it fit on something like that on this. Maybe I'll cut right now. So let's see. I don't think that would work. At least not in the front, because I think the wheels, the rims would run into the sides of the display chassis. And we're back. See what I mean? Definitely wasn't going to fit on that at all. It's too narrow, or too wide, and the body's too narrow for this display chassis. So the way they did it is they made these tall spots in the front and the back where you'd run in like an axle or a tube through, and then you could have a rod that would attach to some wheels that you would put on the display thing. So I think you got a bunch of the parts you needed. Then there's also a spot where you would attach the body post mounts on the front there, and then on the back as well. And this was just an idea I think they had back then, where you would put your body that you spent a bunch of hours painting and everything, making look really cool, on display and not have to put it on a dedicated chassis that you spend a bunch of money on. You could do this for a lot cheaper price. So when we ran it the other day, we did 030 in it. I think this is 40 though, what I've got right now here. And this would definitely be the better material to run it in, is the 40. Came out really well. Very good details on it. And this is one of the first ones ran. It got dirty. It picked up dirt that we didn't quite clean the buck as well as we could have before we ran it. But this would definitely be what you'd want to, have the material. Then we experimented with some old ABS we had running around. This ABS came from the old shop. It's even, when you compare it to that, you can see it's a little more yellowed. In fact, these aren't bad ones, but there's some that the UV had gotten some UV exposure at some point and definitely looked a lot more yellow than the styrene that we have over here. And the ABS we have is stuff that is textured on one side and smooth on the other. So the very first run we did the textured side down just as an experiment on it. This is this might be 60, or is this 40? I think this might be 60. 0.060. I think it might be. I don't remember. I'd have to get out the calipers. I'll put in the video if I figure it out, or if I remember. Then we ran another one of the ABS, and this one is textured on the outside. Kind of has a cool look to it. Kind of looks like Kydex, because Kydex, generally you get Kydex with the texture on it. So that's in white there, and then smooth on the back side. It came out really well. You can't read the display chassis like stuff in this material. It doesn't, the part number and everything, it doesn't show up very well in this thicker material. It can't sink down into the recesses. And just, of course, with the rough one, it kind of hides it. But even on this one, you can kind of read it. It's not the best. And then for the very last thing we ran, we did, what do you call it? Polycarbonate and Lexan is the brand name. We ran this. It came out really well. This is a 6.060 as well. And what's weird is that the detail in this came out much better. You can read the stuff. I think it might be the texturing on the ABS that maybe also kind of hides the lettering and everything. But it came out more recognizable than the ABS. And this is a good stiff material. If I were to say what would be the best material, this would be the best material to run it in. The downside is though, this is 4 times more expensive for material than the styrene. So give you an idea of why back in the day they actually did it in styrene, I believe as well, is because for just a display sort of thing, this is a lot higher cost to do it. And to be honest, if you watch the video now here at the end, the styrene is way easier to form than the polycarbonate. It is crazy how much better and easier it is to work with. I wish I could make everything out of the styrene and have it be as strong as the polycarbonate or Lexan, but that just doesn't work that way. Styrene is very much more brittle and tears very easy. So that's the end of it right there. Like I said, if you're interested in any of these, send an email to giveaways@cibulatech.com. And now what we're going to go to is the video of the highlights of making of these the other day when we did the live video. So thanks for watching. Bye-bye. I'm experimenting today with some different plastics I haven't used in a while. Styrene, some really old ABS that I've got here that has got texture on one side because the supplier only had ABS in inventory that is smooth on one side and textured on the other side. And then we'll also run it in the normal polycarbonate plastic, but a little bit thicker, 0.06 inches thick. We normally do 30 and 40 and then sometimes 60 with some stuff, but that's rare that we do stuff in the 60. So yeah, we'll be running this stuff today. I'm going to start to get the molds, or one mold out on the machine right now and get it mounted to the platform here. So get that, it's in the oven warming up, getting it up to kind of a good temperature for forming so the plastic doesn't cool real quick. It has been a long time since I've run styrene and ABS. ABS, really long time. Styrene, it's been over a year. So this one's going to be interesting. I've got to see if I can remember. I think I remember these had to have a fairly long cool time on the mold before you could pop them off. But they didn't require much of a warm-up time to form on the machine, if I remember correctly. ABS has been since we were in our old location that we were renting, and I have no clue on that anymore. I have no clue what that's going to take. So let's give it a go here. One of the things I'll mention is, if you've seen our other video on making small platforms that we made a while back, when we made our tray or platform design, put a little spacer in here to create like a small cavity underneath the board that any mold or buck is mounted to, so that air can be pulled out from around. Because what we've done in this particular situation is we've outlined the perimeter of the buck with tiny little holes to help evacuate out the air. Then there's also tiny little holes in here. Most of our bodies, if you've seen any of our videos, are big shells and they're hollow inside, so the air just goes right in. We have a hole underneath that all the air gets sucked out. But in this situation with this particular mold, it is not a shell, so we have to put some stuff around the perimeter to help evacuate the air. But on this platform, when we designed it, we did not design a cavity underneath by putting a little spacer border around the side so that this would sit kind of on that border and then have area underneath. So what I'm going to do is kind of cheat. I'm putting two really thin washers underneath to kind of help create a little bit of a cavity underneath, and hopefully it's going to work okay. I have to move it over. I got little channels I've ground into this for something else at some point. I'm reusing a board that I've experimented with other stuff on before. Right, I think we're ready there. We'll put some bolts in. Right now, let's review our settings. We have it set to 15 seconds of heat time in the back. It's going to go in the back for 15 seconds. This is one thing I remember from last time, is we had to have a fairly good cool-off period before we could remove it from the mold. I have it set to 25 seconds right now. I think I'm going to go to 35, because like I said, I don't remember. I should have made notes when I did this. We did a little part, or a screwdriver tray a while back. We have a video of it, and I should have remembered that. Should have written it down. Our vacuum time is just going to be about 3.5 seconds. That's as long as it's going to pull the plastic down before it shuts off the valve. Around the 10-second period, there's going to be a light little poof of air to help release the part from the mold. And that's pretty much about it. And then there's the fan, which you see up right here. This is a big fan that's controlled by a relay and everything. That'll come on and cool this thing down for release off the mold. All right, I think we should be good to go. So let's go and try here and see what happens. 12, 13, oh, here it comes. Yeah, it's pretty soft already. Oh, but not soft enough. We'll actually just put this back in the back again. Let's we'll hit the emergency stop thing here. Get it to stop. Let's adjust our time. This will probably be too much for this now. So let's go up to 25. Leave everything else the same. Oh, there we go. And that released really nice. It didn't deform coming off. So that was a good hold time. Yeah, it didn't... Oh no, you're probably going to have a hard time seeing it, but it didn't form real well down in here. So we're gonna go definitely longer time on that. But it came out pretty well. That's pretty good. For the first one, wow, second attempt, that was pretty good. So let's see, we were at 25. I'm gonna go up to 30, I guess. Styrene, I found, is just pretty forgiving. Oh yeah, that's real good. So yeah, that came out really well. It formed very well around here, around the edge. That's a very good looking part. Very good looking. Okay, here's the next one we're working on. This is the Bolink display chassis. It's a very unique one. They originally sold it as kind of a kit thing that you could put together, and you would put I think it was a tube through with a threaded rod through the back and the front, and then you could attach your wheels onto it, and then the body could, you put body posts on the front there and one on either side here, and you could put your body that you painted up real nice on display on the shelf on just kind of a cheap chassis instead of having to put it on a real car. I don't know how popular they were. I never remember seeing them as a kid at all, or anybody having one. Of course, I wasn't hanging out with the right crowd for that sort of stuff anyway. Right, we're going 40 styrene. And just because we've been sitting here a little while, we're going to back her off to 24 seconds. That's not a whole lot. And give her a go. The little pop sound is some air escaped through a little previous hole for mounting another mold. I actually like styrene. It does form really easy compared to polycarbonate and Lexan material. It just seems to stretch and form so much easier. But it's not very strong plastic compared to those other plastics. All right, now the ABS. One thing I'll mention on the ABS, it's going to be a little weird, and it is textured. You probably can't see it because of the brightness of the lights and everything, but it is textured on this particular side and smooth on the other side. You can see the kind of reflection off of it. So I'm going to do it with the textured side down. And since this is thicker, we're going to change the time that it sits back there for a little bit longer. We were at 18 seconds. We're going to jump up to, I'm going to say 25. This is a shot in the dark. I have no clue. It's been too many years since I've run this to remember the time I just gave this. That was okay. It needed a little bit longer time. This stuff absolutely smells terrible. Jump up the vacuum time on this. I had it set for like 3.5 seconds. We're going to jump it up to about 5 seconds. So let me show you kind of what it did. You zoom in here. I'll zoom in here. Sorry about the noise from the air compressor, but that's how it goes. It did okay in this part right. It did okay in this part right here, but back here it did very poorly forming along this side right in here. It's kind of angled. It didn't get sucked up nice and tight against the back portion of this. So that did not come out real well. So we're going to give it a little more time heating up, and we should get a little bit better results. We were at 25. I'm going to bump it up to I think 28. Oh yeah, that came out much better. And I ran that last one, the textured side of the ABS down. Let's do it up on this one, just so you can see a difference. I don't remember what the difference is, to be honest. It's been too many years. All I know is it'll stretch out the texture. Our bodies are for the older vintage RC crowd. Let me turn down the iris on this one camera. See if that makes it so it's a little less bright, so hopefully you can see the texture in it. But I might have made it a little dark now. I don't know if you can see that at all. I think it's still a little washed out, and especially the internet streaming stuff is probably quality's not there either. There we go. That's as far zoomed in as I can get. So you can see there, that's what the ABS, and it's previously, or it's textured before you get it. That's what it looks like after forming with the texture side up. Here's going to be with the texture side down. Definitely has more of a shine to it. All right, we are going to switch now to the polycarbonate. I got 2 sheets of that. I'm going to adjust the time here on this. I'm going to go down a little bit on it. I'm going to say 28 again. We'll see. I only have 2 sheets to try this on, so hopefully it goes well. Oh man, feel how heavy this is. Actually, you know what? I'm going to keep it at I'm going to keep it at the temperature we had it at for the ABS. Actually, I might go higher. 29.5. We'll go like half a second higher. I'm not confident in how this is going to form on this. That did pretty good. I think it needed a little bit more time, but it still came out pretty good. Oh, I forgot we got our cool-off time still set really high. We don't need it for this long on this, so let's hit the emergency button here. There we go. Yeah, that actually looks pretty good. There's a few spots, probably can't tell really, but in this corner here, it didn't form all the way in there because it wasn't quite hot enough. It didn't form all the way around this bottom edge as well. So, but it's still below the cut line, except kind of in the corner there. So we got to give it a little bit longer time. We're going to bump it up to like 30 seconds. But, hopefully this comes out well. That's pretty good. It still could have been a little bit better. Alright, so on this last one, once again, it's still in, man, this is hard to do. In this little corner in here, it didn't quite form quite as well as I would like. And this is the side of the body or the mold that is on the outside of the machine. So this plastic tends to be exposed to the cooler air, so it doesn't form, or it doesn't get as warm or stay as warm as long. So sometimes you have to bump up your overall temperature to get things right. And maybe cool down your temperature on your heaters on the back side of the machine so that it's not too hot on this side when it comes out. But yeah, that came out really well. Oh, that's still hot. Yeah, that's the other thing. If you noticed earlier, I was handling the styrene and the ABS without gloves on. But the polycarbonate, I don't know what goes on, but it keeps its heat longer, but it doesn't need to cool on the mold as long to pop off. I don't know what the whole thermodynamics or whatever's going on there, but you can handle it barehanded with the styrene right after it's cooled down, but not the polycarbonate. And this has been off now for, I don't know how long now, well over the time that the styrene sits on the machine and cools. I will wrap this up then. Thanks for everybody who watched today and anybody who's watching this after the fact. This video will stay up for a short amount of time. Usually I've been making the live stream stay up for about 24 hours and then I remove them off the YouTube. It's kind of a, hey, if you can watch the video and you want to watch it, great. It's not one of our informative YouTube streams or content on YouTube. So have a great day. Thanks for watching.